why do we use rolling activities? Well, we have to consider the fact that all of movement is shape change. And so if we have situations where somebody can't manage the internal dynamics of movement, they can't control muscle activity, therefore they can't create gradients, they can't create pressure differentials, and therefore they can't create shape change. And so we have to have ways that would allow people to do this. So if you are able to use your hands as a therapist, we do manual therapies to provide sensations, pressure differentials, shape changes, and gradients and such. But what if you don't? Or what if you're working through an exercise program, you need to give homework to somebody? So now we have the capacity to use the ground as the physical contact. And so we can use rolling behaviors to create the appropriate shapes when we want to reacquire a position like late propulsion, early propulsion. So that's essentially why we're doing this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go out into the gym and we're going to take Eric through a sequence, not the sequence. So we're going to take him through a sequence of activities that we would use. So our starting conditions are, we have somebody that cannot capture a right foot contact and they do not have appropriate anterior posterior expansion. Therefore, they're going to have trouble executing any variations of rolling, but we're going to take them into a situation where we'll use rolling to recapture early propulsion. So we're going to start this with a right-sided lazy rolling activity. And so Eric is supported on his right arm. We've got a foam roller between his knees. So there'll be situations where folks might not have enough internal rotation in the hip. And so we can actually separate the hips and we can actually use this activity because we're going to keep everything more away from midline towards internal rotation. All right, now he's on his right side for a reason. So internal dynamics would be driven leftward. So if we lay on our right side, we can dampen that aspect. And so it's much easier to control. So starting on your right sideline, in your right sideline position tends to be a better place to be. Now, we're talking about lazy rolling. So I'm going to change my camera angle a little bit, and I'm going to have Eric drive that left knee forward over the roller. So push it forward. So he's going to glide that forward. He's heavy on his right hip. He's got a right knee contact. All right, so we're using the hip and the knee as a substitution for a foot contact because we don't have foot contacts. And he's just going to gradually roll that roller posteriorly. He's never forcing. Everything is slow and controlled. So I'll let you see the differential going down the line here. So go ahead and push that forward. And as soon as he starts to feel the barrier, he stops and he rolls back. Breathing here is nasal breathing, so very quiet, relaxed nasal breathing. So the cues that I consistently give folks in this situation is lazy, heavy, and slow, because everybody tries to do it with tension and pressure and force. And so we just need to teach people to relax into this, because our first goal here is to reduce the degree of muscle activity throughout the axial skeleton so we can start to produce turns. So this is lazy rolling. And we will do this for several minutes at a time. And so I will give you an extreme, for instance. So I have a professional soccer player that will do this for 15 minutes at a time. It is the one thing that we can use consistently to recapture his relative motions. Okay, so it's heavy, lazy, and slow. Now, Eric, what I want you to do is I want you to take your left arm, put it out in front of you, rest your hand on the ground. And now we're going to connect the pelvis and the thorax. So the first thing he's going to do is he's going to pull the hip back, just like we did before. Okay, and again, quiet nasal breathing. Now he's going to push the pelvis forward. So you're going to see the knee go forward until he starts to feel the constraint. And then once he feels that, then he's going to start to slide the left hand forward. So we basically have the roll that comes all the way up into the thorax. So pelvis will go back, and they'll drag the hand back when he, so drag the hand back now. So turn through the rib cage, bring the hand back so you can see the hand start to come back. But he's not lifting it up, he's not pulling, he's just dragging. Now drive the pelvis again. So you see the top of the pelvis moving forward, so the left knee goes forward, and he starts to reach the constraint, and then the left arm goes forward. So again, it's very heavy, very lazy, very slow. So he reaches the constraint through the arm, and then the pelvis starts to move.